CCNA Security Real World Labs VPNs IPsec site-to-site VPN challenge. I appreciate it's not enough to watch what other people do. Yeah, what you want to do, you want to try it by yourself. You want to sort out an issue. That's how you learn. That's what your experience is all about, right? You try, you break, you fix. That's the whole idea. That's why I decided to prepare some challenges for you in the CCNA Security Real World Labs training. One of them is dedicated to VPNs. I'll show you what I prepared for you. Of course, these files will be available for you to download. I encourage you to download the main file, try and sort it out. Of course, if you can't do it, then of course you can keep watching that video I will show you, or you can open a file that has the answer in it. It's up to you. Here we are talking about VPNs, IPsec VPNs, site-to-site. I decided to use Packet Tracer because it's pretty easy to create labs and I know you're going to open it. I use Packet Tracer 601. Please remember that if you have version 5.3 you will not be able to open it. It has to be 601 and above. We have two networks, two sites here, 222, 2220 and 3330. There is a site-to-site VPN created between these two routers. You don't have access to ISP. Well, I think it's read-only access. The enable password now it's not Cisco. Try and guess it, by the way, but it's not Cisco. Your ISP is over here. There's absolutely no configuration on these on this guy, and PC0 is not able to ping PC1. Why? Well, this is a public IP address. I use that from time to time, even though it's a public IP address, because it is really easy to work with IP addresses like 222.111.333. Yeah, of course, in the real world, you would use a private IP address in most cases. Sometimes you will use a public IP address as something that we call an encryption domain. Anyway, here we have our first LAN that is 2220 and the second 3330. There is no NAT on these guys. I wanted to keep it simple. Your task, your job is to fix it, right? You don't know anything about this network. That's not an easy task here. And you can ask a question, does it work like that in the real world? And the answer is yes. Sometimes you will be asked to sort out an issue in a network that you have never seen before, and you have a few minutes to check these routers, see how it's all connected. Unfortunately, there is a chance you will not have a network diagram. You will have to do CDP neighbor commands and things like that to figure out how and what's connected. It's not easy, but it can happen in the real world as well, especially if you provide services to your customers. It's like managed services companies, right? It can happen that you will get a client and there is no network diagram, there is no spreadsheet with IP addresses, there is no running config. I have seen places where I had to recover a password because they didn't have a username and password to a Cisco router. Yeah, I know it's a nightmare. I know it shouldn't be like that. Sometimes it is. Of course, this is CCNA Security Real World Labs. I assume your skills are at this level. That's why I am okay to give you a challenge like that. Again, all you know is that this VPN is not working. All I can tell you is that this issue is related to VPN. Yeah, there is nothing's wrong on the LAN side, right? There is a problem over here. Of course, not ISP is okay. So the issue is here, here, or on both routers. I can tell you that. There is nothing wrong with the LANs, yeah, local area networks. They're absolutely fine. This PC is okay, that PC is okay. There is nothing on the switches. I use switches in labs like that as unmanaged switches. There is no configuration on them, and that's absolutely fine. The same applies to switch 1. There is absolutely nothing. Cisco switches can be used as plug and play devices. That's fine. Okay, good luck. You can pause the video now and I'll show you what the problem is in a few moments. Okay, I hope that you've managed to sort it out. And to be honest, I created this lab a few days ago and I don't remember on which router I broke it. I'll show you how I approach a problem like that. Okay, so first of all, we go to desktop and we do ipconfig. Okay, the first rule says never trust a user, a network administrator, an infrastructure engineer. Do not trust anyone. And not sure if you followed that rule, but do you remember I told you that, well, there is nothing wrong in the LAN, and what did you do? Did you believe me? And if you did, that's a mistake. Never do that. Here, I didn't lie. That was the case. That was okay. There is nothing wrong with the LAN, but never do that. Do not trust anyone. If someone says, no, I checked the DNS, it's okay, and then you ping google.com and you can't, and you ping 8888 and it's okay, right? I've seen it before. Here, I didn't lie, and there is nothing wrong with these guys. Of course, I can prove it to you. I can ping my default gateway. I should be able to ping the router's IP address, which is 1.1.1.1. Yep. That's okay. The same applies to PC1. PC1 ipconfig and ping 3331. 4442 is the IP address. 4442 of the router. Yep. Now let's try and ping PC1. Ping 3332. It's just stupid packet tracer. I think it's ping T, isn't it? 4.3332. Right. Destination host unreachable. Let's go here, show crypto ISA campus, say, and there is nothing. What does it mean? Well, I am pinging, or I'm trying to ping at the moment, and router 0 is not trying to do that. It's not trying to send that traffic through the tunnel. And that's not a good sign, because if there is an issue with crypto maps, pre-shared keys, encryption, access list, whatever, it should at least try, yeah? Maybe the state, it will not be QM idle, it might be something else, but you should see IC phase 1, at least, something, yeah? And if you cannot, it means that your router is not really interested in that traffic, to be honest. It's what your router is trying to tell you is, well, yeah, whatever, I don't think that this ICMP should go through the tunnel. Of course, there are a lot of reasons for that, but the first thing that I like to check is routing. And I think I made that mistake when I showed you side-to-side VPN between two Cisco routers. The same, there was no root, and as far as I remember, that was the case here. When I type show IP route, you will see that this router doesn't know how to get to 3330. Please remember, because it sounds like a strange scenario, because there is no default gateway. And you may say, well, that's weird, you know, it's an edge router and there is no default gateway. And the answer is yes, it can happen. It might be just a VPN router and there is no default gateway. I have seen that. I worked with a topology like that for more than 2 years, and there was a VPN router with no default gateway. Of course, there were VRFs and things like that. And I had to point, of course that was in DMZ, it was more complicated. The idea is the same. You need a route. It can be a default route, it can be a static route, whatever. You need a route. Yeah, why? Because your router is first, it is a router, right? And then it is a VPN device. To fix that issue, all you have to do is you have to add a route to this guy. Yeah. 255, 255, 2550. And we have to send it to this guy. QMI though? That should start working. That's it. Sorted. I decided to give you a challenge like that and even record a video because that can happen. A VPN issue might be related to a routing issue, to a firewall issue, to something else. And try and look at this problem from the routing perspective, switching, firewalls, everything that might be involved. It's especially important if you work in a pretty advanced and complicated topology where you have, DMZ and the topology that I described. I remember two solutions like that. One was in DMZ and second was behind a firewall, hidden water, just really crazy. Really nice solution, by the way, but pretty complicated. And I remember I kept forgetting, about that. Oh, routing. Oh, yeah, just show IP route and so on. Yeah, and that's what can happen. Do not focus on crypto maps and IPsec. Yeah, make sure that you have all other pieces in place. That will give you a chance to sort out a lot of VPN issues as well, as you can see. That's what I wanted to show you in this video. We talked about virtual private networks, side-to-side VPNs, and that was a challenge. Thank you very much.